why should you listen to me? Well, this is me at the age of 15. This is me at the age of 51. We'll be 52 in a couple of months. And the reason why I've been able to maintain this level of health, vitality, and energy is because of the principles that I'm about to share with you now. You, listen up. Many men make the terrible mistake of sacrificing their health while working on their wealth, only to then sacrifice that wealth to regain their health. Now, I am here to tell you that you can play a much better game, a game where you can actually have both. This video will be worth your time if you are a man who is 35 plus, if you're an executive, an athlete, an entrepreneur, or in other words, a high performer. If you are someone who has worked so hard that you are losing your mojo, in other words, your muscle mass is dropping, your body fat's going up, your energy levels are going down, and your overall health, unfortunately, is going down. If you are not commanding attraction from the opposite sex, and you know what I mean, attraction isn't a choice. If you feel that magnetism is not where you're at in your ability to attract, if you've had a health scare, in other words, if you have been told by a doctor that you need to make some major changes, or you already have some pre-existing health challenges that are actually getting worse, and you essentially want a cheat code to allow you to save time, energy, and money when it comes to regaining your health and regaining your physical dominance. I am Coach Terrence Thomas. I'm a high performance health coach with over 35 years of coaching athletes, executives, and entrepreneurs. I'm the author of Get Fit Now and Feel Great Forever. I'm the author of Hard Style Golf Conditioning and the author of Start Strong Golf Warm-Up System. And I'm the author of Belly Shred Method, How to Lose the Gut, Gain Confidence, and Transform Your Health. So, many men, again, lose their health when they're working hard and trying to get their wealth in order. But the frameworks that I'm about to show you are guaranteed to help you achieve maximum vitality and reclaim your physical dominance. Now, why should you listen to me? Well, this is me at the age of 15. This is me at the age of 51. We'll be 52 in a couple of months. And the reason why I've been able to maintain this level of health, vitality, and energy is because of the principles that I'm about to share with you now. And let me put it in another way. Who would you rather learn wealth management from? Warren Buffett, who has a long history of competency and success, or someone who has just won the lottery and got lucky? There's a lot of that going on in the zeitgeist today, but today, you're getting the real deal because I've been doing this again for 35 years. So here we are. So my mission for this entire channel and for everything that I'll bring to you moving forward is to show you how to achieve maximum congruency, meaning that your health matches your wealth. Not only do I want you to have the money, but I want you to have the muscles and the mindset to succeed and dominate all aspects of your life. So with that being said, let's get started. Does that sound good? So, what are we here to do? What we are here to do, pull out my thing here. We are here to acquire skill. That's what it boils down to. Acquiring skill. If you are acquiring skill, you are going to be transforming and reaching your goals. Now, here's something I want you to really understand. There's a lot of information out there, but the reality is this: knowledge is for spectators. There's no shortage of information, especially today. Knowledge is for spectators. Those are people who gather information and don't do anything with it. However, skill is for winners. That's the difference. Knowledge is for spectators, skill is for winners. And skill is essentially knowledge applied. This is the difference. Applied knowledge is wisdom. Okay? And then wisdom is transformation. Wisdom is transformation. This is all about the mindset, so we have to start here. Now, mindset is the key, because here's why. I'll sum it up with a quick story. When I was doing my training in holistic health, it's a 4-year program, and during the first 3 years, we're heavy on the physical, functional anatomy, strength and conditioning, nutrition, health, all of those things. And then the 4th year is essentially the behind the curtain coaching and the behind the curtain development, meaning that all of the things that keep people from healing, all of the obstacles, both physical and psychological, emotional, that keep people from really pulling the trigger and maximizing their potential physically, professionally, mentally, emotionally. So it's important that we identify the behind the curtain obstacles to then identify why you are here and in the condition that you are in right now. And in order to do that, this allows us to put out fires. Okay? So again, we want to identify why we are not healing, because this is essentially going to dictate everything else. Once we put out the fires, then we can rebuild. So the first really key concept is we have to put out the fires before the rebuild. Okay, your fires are the habits, behaviors, and skills that have gotten you to your current results. So let's learn how to put out fires. If you want a practical guide to help you apply what you're learning, get my book, Belly Shred Method. It's a system that I created specifically for men to help you improve your metabolic health, give you a practical routine, workouts, nutrition plan, and stress management system to keep you on point. It's sustainable. If you're a man 35 plus looking to get lean, find a sustainable way to stay in shape without hours in the gym, this is the program for you. So to get a copy of that book, there should be a link somewhere in the description. Now back to your program. So when it comes to regaining your physical dominance, there are 4 pillars. The first pillar is your physical, your body, essentially why you're watching this video up to this point. Now, there are 3 overarching things we look at when it comes to getting your body on point. The first is your frame, which encompasses your posture and your body mechanics, how you present and how you move. Regardless of what your goal is in terms of your fitness, whether you're an athlete, whether you're just an everyday person, whether you're an adventurer, a hunter, there are 2 things that any physical conditioning program must accomplish. They must improve your frame and they must improve your ability to move. Full stop. If your routine isn't achieving those goals, you have to rethink what you're doing, because your results will probably be fleeting at best. So we focus on your frame, which encompasses your posture and body mechanics. Then you focus on your fitness, which is conditioning, work tolerance, XYZ. We'll get into that in more detail in a second. Then it's your physique. Your physique is the result of your frame and fitness. Your physique is the result of form following frame, function, and fitness. That is what your physique is. Your physique is the summation of the things above it. Okay? So when it comes to developing your blueprint for fitness and physical excellence, things have to be done in the right order. Okay, there's a hierarchy of performance, and that's essentially what this is here. Okay, the very foundation of performance is posture and pliability. Posture, again, is your frame and how your body presents. Okay, there's nothing before posture and there's nothing after posture. There's been information, studies, proof that your posture dictates every aspect of your health. There's a book by Dr. Joel E. Goldthwait called Body Mechanics and Health and Disease. It was written probably in the 1930s. This man was a Harvard-educated physician, and he showed in that book how posture and body mechanics essentially affected every aspect of health: blood pressure, organ function, reproductive organs, and things like that. But the point is, if you didn't do anything else but improve your posture when it comes to your physical hygiene, everything else will fall into place. So that's why this is the foundation. And pliability is essentially, it's flexibility, but it's a little bit more than that. It's the elasticity and the compliance of your soft tissues, muscles, joints, and things like that. Okay. Then the next tier up is movement and mobility, as we discussed. Your ability to properly navigate your frame in a coordinated, healthy way without damaging your joints and without creating injury while you're lifting implements and things like that. Then we move to core conditioning, which is your ability to dissipate forces away from your spine. Again, the core is more than just your abs. Your core is actually a system that contains muscles. It contains muscles sequences, meaning that certain muscles have to fire in the right order, and reflexes, meaning that those sequences have to fire at a certain time and in the right order. So if that system isn't working properly, forces that would normally get dissipated away from the spine gets trapped somewhere in the spine, joints, and that's how you end up getting injured. So that is your 2-minute PhD in how the core works and what the core should be doing. When you know how the body works and when you know what a functional body looks like, I can evaluate someone in 5 minutes and tell you if their core is working, real core is working properly or not, because the body doesn't lie. It's like physics. It's like a car accident. If you look at how a car is damaged, you can tell exactly how the accident occurred. Same thing here. Next tier is strength skills. Strength skills. This is where you develop your work tolerance. This is where you develop your force production to be able to then get stronger, to be able to navigate whatever it is that you're trying to navigate within your physical task. And then finally, at the peak of the pyramid is power and high performance. The common mistake that I see, and pretty much everyone, especially high performing men and athletes of that sort, is they end up trying to skip steps without the proper foundation. And how do you know you're skipping steps? Chronic injuries, lack of increase in performance, and inconsistent performance. Your performance undulates between being at your peak for a little while and then dropping down, but there's no consistency there. Okay? At the top level, everybody's good. What separates the good from the elite is their ability to be consistent. And if you don't have a foundation, it's almost impossible to be consistent. So by following this framework, it sets you up for long-term success and increasing success. If you give me any athlete, anyone who's achieved any level of physical excellence, I can reverse engineer how they've applied this principle here. That's how solid, that's how proven, that's how much of a universal truth this framework is. So this is how we do it within our physical dominance formula. Again, what's going to be your fires that you have to put out within pillar number one? It's going to be imbalances. If your posture's off, if you have prior injuries, if you don't have the proper skill, or if your skill set is poor. All of these things will contribute to you not achieving your maximum potential in this area. So again, we have to put out the fires before the rebuild. Pillar number 2 is your organ health. Listen, the only way you lose is if you cannot play the game. And pillar 2 keeps you in the game. The game we're talking about here is the game of life. If your organs aren't working, you're not healthy, which means that you can't be in the game. So by performing a full systems check, meaning you're going to be giving yourself this internal tune-up, which will allow for early detection. All of your organ systems have to be given a once-over from head to toe. Eyes, breathing, jaw, digestion, elimination, circulation. All of these organs you have to understand how these organs function. You have to understand their efficiency and to understand if there are any deficiencies. Okay? Because otherwise, you'll end up getting a red card. A red card, just like in soccer, red card means you're out of the game. And there's only 2 ways at its root that you get a red card, meaning a disease at this, referring to this, okay? The first way is by having a chronic nutritional deficiency. The second way is organ toxicity. Let me say that again. There's essentially 2 ways that the organs get sick. If there isn't enough nutrients on board and there's an accumulation of toxins. Any disease is essentially caused by that. That is the ember of disease. Ember meaning like if you have an ember and it turns into a forest fire. It starts right here. So by having that full systems check, this puts you in the best position to stay in the game and to stay healthy and to take a proactive approach to health rather than a reactive approach to health, as most people are doing now. And based on the current health statistics available, we know how that system is working. So we're here trying to do something a little different. So here we are. So again, put out the fires before the rebuild. Okay, so that's how that works. Pillar number 3 is hormone optimization. Now that we're in the game, now that we have an understanding of what we need to do to stay in the game, we have organ efficiency. Now we go to hormone optimization. Hormone optimization is vitality protection and performance enhancement. Okay, so there's some very fundamental rules that I want you to understand about hormone optimization. I know that in the zeitgeist right now, there's this promotion of the use of testosterone replacement therapy and TRT and hormones and all of that, and I'm all for it. It works, but I want you to understand something from a fundamental level because it's going to help you get better results and it's going to essentially prevent you from running into some problems down the road in terms of side effects and potentially creating more problems with your health from the misuse of testosterone. Okay? So here are the basics. When it comes to hormones, we have what we call primary hormones and secondary hormones. Primary hormones are primary because any dysfunction or threat with these hormones elicits an immediate threat to your life. For example, the 3 primary hormones are insulin, cortisol, and adrenaline. Case in point, what happens if you develop an extreme insulin dysfunction? You're either going to be diabetic or severe metabolic syndrome. If sugar metabolism is compromised, that can correlate to diabetes, diabetic coma, or death at this point. So insulin is a primary hormone because it can kill you quickly, basically. Same thing with adrenaline. If your body produces too much adrenaline, you can get anxiety, heart attack, those types of things. Cortisol, it messes around with your immune system and affects your blood sugar and cardiovascular. So again, these are the 3 primary hormones that if dysfunctional will kill you sooner, as opposed to secondary hormones, such as all of your sex hormones, testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, XYZ. So the rule is this: you cannot have a secondary hormone dysfunction without a primary hormone dysfunction first. So, in order to really optimize your testosterone for the long term, you have to address primary hormone function. And the way primary hormone function is addressed directly and most powerfully and most consistently is through diet, exercise, and lifestyle. Diet, supplements, training, and recovery, okay? Recovery not to be confused with stress management, okay? We'll get more into that later, but recovery. So if you want to be in the hormone game for a good time, but not a long time, go ahead and use testosterone replacement therapy without applying the principles that I'm explaining to you here. But that's not what we're here to do. We are here to build maximum vitality, and this is the blueprint to do it. So what I'm getting at is that you have to earn the right to use TRT. And if you follow the principles that I'm mentioning here, addressing primary hormones first, this will allow you to earn the right to use TRT successfully and to use it for its intended benefits, not as a band-aid to cover up a dysfunctional lifestyle, okay? So you do that by building healthy habits and baseline skills first, okay? So that's what I want to give you about hormones at this point. So now, pillar number 4. This is my acronym called ACCESS. This is all the mindset. This is all the behind the curtain things that will allow all of this stuff to be set in motion and to keep you from self-sabotaging the very thing that you're here to do. So I want to go over this acronym. ACCESS is an acronym that I created. So the first A in ACCESS stands for accountability. It's self-explanatory. Okay, you have to be accountable for your actions, thoughts, and behaviors and your results. Okay, my mentor and longtime friend Paul Chek, he gave us Chek practitioners and his students a definition of what real spirituality is, and essentially, real spirituality is accountability. He says that spirituality, in a nutshell, is taking responsibility for what you create in the world. So that is essentially what accountability is in terms of this acronym. So you have to be accountable for your life. Okay, it's your fault, good or bad. Okay, simple as that. The next C is creativity. Now, this is not in terms of like being an artist or that type of creativity. Creativity is synonymous with resourcefulness. So your ability to access all that is within you is based on your ability to be creative or resourceful, okay? The way that you access your ultimate creativity and resourcefulness is by being able to calm your mind. This is where meditation, mindfulness practices come in at. These practices allow you to tap into your internal goal mind. So that's where creativity comes into play. The third C is communication. Anyone who's ever achieved anything in the world is an excellent communicator. There's no way around it, okay? Communication is the only way that you can essentially fulfill your own needs and to fulfill the needs of anyone in your life, because that's how you transfer information from you to the outside world, whether it's written, spoken, or any other mode. So communication is key. We will acquire skills in that area. The next is E, and that stands for effort. Effort, okay? Anything that's worth accomplishing is not easy. So effort requires energy. That should be E squared, effort and energy. So in order for you to have the effort to access your greatness, you have to have the physical energy to follow through with it. So it's a self-winding watch, okay? So max effort, putting everything that you have into all that you do. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. But if you half-ass it, the universe can't grant you your wish because you're kind of in limbo. Okay? There's no half-ass it. It's either no ass or all ass. So this is where effort comes into place. Okay? If you take this approach, just watch the magic happen. So that's why this is here. Now, this S here stands for self-reflection. That means, again, being honest with yourself about what you want and about what you have created so far, okay? It's important that, so self-reflection is essentially being honest with yourself, okay? A lot of times we as men can infinitely BS ourselves about our results and how we are showing up in the world based on many reasons that I'll discuss in other videos. But for our purposes here, being able to be honest and being able to honestly and effectively self-reflect will allow you to acquire skill. It will allow you to gain wisdom through the experiences that you've already had. So there's a lot here. Okay, it's often painful for men, but on the other side of that pain is growth and accomplishment. So it's an important step in becoming the best version of yourself. And then the last S is self-actualization, which is essentially your purpose and what we're here to do. Self-actualization is doing what you have come here to do in your lifetime. I know we got a little bit woo-woo here, but this is how we roll. Okay? Again, this is the Access framework, and all of the mindset, motivation, lifestyle, healthy habits will fall somewhere underneath these pillars. Anytime I'm coaching a client and we come up against an obstacle in regards to execution and compliance, I immediately start troubleshooting why using this Access framework, and ultimately we start to my client and I will come to the same page as to which one of these areas needs to be addressed in order to move us forward. Okay, so this is where emotions and guilt and this framework allows us to keep all the head trash in the trash. All right, so that's essentially the overarching purpose of this framework, is to help you have a system to help us effectively deal with all of the behind the curtain obstacles that will ultimately come up. That's just the nature of that's just the nature of life, and that's the nature of the game. So what I want you to do is I want you to start to embrace this framework, because all of the information on this channel, all of the technologies that I'll be sharing with you moving forward are based on these 4 fundamental pillars. So it's important. You may want to take some notes from this. I'll probably end up having a link to download a cheat sheet that way you can access this quicker. But again, you're more than welcome to review this video as many times as you need to for this information to become automatic. I don't know about you, but for me, I learn through repetition, and sometimes you have to review information 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times for it to actually become yours. For me, I don't consider myself having learned something until I can effectively apply it in my life. So until it becomes automatic, I haven't learned the lesson. So reps. So now With that being said, if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe, as this will greatly help me get this information out to more men like yourself. So if you want to learn a common thing that most people overlook with testosterone replacement therapy, you can watch the next video here.